If you see a faded sign at the side of the road that says 15 miles to the...
Charles, I tell you what, we've got a real good special guest. Now I'm going to give you the honors of introducing him to us.
All right, everybody, we got with us tonight Mr. Nic-Dinsmore. How you doing tonight, Nick? Charming. Charles, what's going on? Not much, man. We're just sitting here ready to get a good interview with you, getting ready to talk about August 11th up there in Evansville, Indiana. You're going to be on that car, but we'll talk about that later. Because something happened this past Saturday night, and I'm not sure what it was, but we'll touch down on that. But right now, Nick, I'm going to ask you the first question that I ask everybody on this program. How many years of professional wrestling? What got you into professional wrestling? Who trained you, and how long did you train? I started wrestling in 1996, just about a little over 16 years ago. I grew up watching WWF, Hulk Hogan, the British Bulldog, the Junkyard Dog, but also here in Louisville, Kentucky, I got the Memphis Wrestling, USWA. I watched Jerry the King Lawler, Superstar Bill Dundee, and the greats that come out of Memphis. I was trained actually by Nightmare Danny Davis here at Ohio Valley Wrestling. I started wrestling in 1996. I wrestled for USWA in my first year in 1997. 1998, I wrestled for WCW. 1999, I wrestled and was hired by WWF. I debuted on WWE television in 2004. And I still work and wrestle at OVW today and tour around the world. Well, that's great, Nick. What I want to do is ask you, I know, like you said, you started at OVW with Danny Davis. And it's safe to say Rip Rogers was in the mix there, right?
There you go.
Rip was one of the wrestlers. He was a veteran wrestler of the crew that would just beat the dog mess out of us each and every week. But you know, Rip was very influential in my career. I was in the ring with Rip every week, almost every weekend, and you know, he would beat me up. He would leave me laying. But after I came out of it, I always learned something. I always came back as a better wrestler, the stronger wrestler. He's very influential in my career. Yes, he's a very, very good wrestler. He's a wily veteran, been around for a long time. What I'm leading up to now, Nick, is I remember I'm from Louisville originally, and I knew you back then. But I'm down here in Nashville, Tennessee right now, and I want to touch down. I think it was about 1998. Bart Prentice's Music City of Wrestling. You worked here? Yeah, I helped head the crew of Music City Wrestling. It was I believe early 1998. We were down there in the Nashville Fairgrounds at least 2 times a week, touring around Nashville. That was one of my first real tastes with national exposure, because Music City Wrestling was actually on like 230-some cable markets around the country. And I remember about a year later, I was in the locker room for WCW, and some of the WCW undercard guys knew me from seeing me on Music City Wrestling. So
So Bert at Music City, and he was one of the guys who ran Music City and helped me get my start there.
Oh, yeah, he had a great car. I remember back then he had, like, Chuck Palumbo would be a regular. What was the big guy's name? Was it Jindrak?
Jindrak and O'Hara, I think, came around.
Yeah, O'Hara was there, and then at one point I remember I think they were the Backstreet Boys, which was Jamie Noble was one of them, maybe.
I think it was Shane Helms.
Shane Helms, right.
The crew that he came up with. Young Joey Matthews might have even been involved in there. The one guy I remember is that Frenchie Riviera.
Oh, my God.
With that 400-plus pound Frenchie Riviera. I saw him a couple years later on that Jerry Springer show.
Yeah, man. He was something else. You know, Bert used to bill him to come out tonight and watch him do a shooting star press. Well, I never got to see him do that. I don't think he ever got to see him do that. But, yeah, and back then there was also a young Jeff and Matt Hardy that came through there quite a bit.
Well, you know, the thing is of all the guys that came through that building in Nashville in the late 90s, I was the 1997 Rookie of the Year in that building.
Is that right?
All the big names, of all the names that have come through, of all the stars that have been seen there, I was the Rookie of the Year in 1997. I wrestled a veteran Dutch Mantel to a grueling 10-minute time limit draw. He beat me with that whip, beat me with everything he had. The people of Nashville have always embraced me. I've always called Nashville my home away from home. And I love it when I can get back down to Nashville and just have one heck of a time.
Well, we certainly love having you here, Nick, and hopefully we'll see you here soon again. Now, it's going to bring me to my next question, Nick. You started in, what do you say, 96 or 97?
1996, Ohio Valley Wrestling.
Okay, and you said earlier that Rip used to beat the dog snot out of you. He taught you how to be a pro.
Every week.
Well, let me ask you something. Today, you go to a lot of shows around the country and the world. How do you think wrestling has differed since you broke in and the way it is now?
There seems to be a lot more guys in it today, and a lot more. There are very few true territories left, but there are a lot of people that have rings and run shows.
Exactly.
There are very few promoters left, but there are a lot of guys that have rings and run shows. You know, it's good on one hand because there's a lot of wrestling out there, but it's bad on one hand because the knowledge of the craft seems to be dwindling away.
I agree 100%. Now, I want to ask you this. We just touched on that right there. How many guys do you see, and I'm just asking you for an honest opinion, this is your opinion, how many guys do you see nowadays that probably maybe you've worked across the country that haven't been, and I'm going to say this, properly trained, that do not know what they're doing, I guess is what I'm trying to get at?
You know, I don't know how many guys I see, you know, throughout a year.
Mm-hmm.
But other guys I would truly trust to have a pay-per-view or five-star match. There might only be 5 or 6 guys that I wrestle throughout a year that I would trust with that kind of match or my body.
Right. There's some good ones out there today, and then there's some that's just a little shoddy. I mean, I would not dare even try to get a match with any of them. But now I want to ask you, Nick.
But the thing is, it's not really their fault because a lot of times there's nowhere to go to find the training. I know when I first broke in, I almost went down to Hendersonville to be trained by the Jarretts, and it just so happened that I went to school with Danny Davis's daughter. She came up to me one day in the hall and said, you know, my dad's got a wrestling school in Jeffersonville, Indiana. I ended up going to the school, and I was lucky enough that Danny got the WWE developmental contract in 1998. You know,
right.
I was very fortunate to have stumbled upon the greatest wrestling school that the country has to offer. A lot of guys don't have that opportunity, you know.
Well, yeah, you're exactly right. Now, when I grew up in Louisville, there was not any kind of wrestling on Tuesday night. Of course, I'm quite a bit older than you. But on Tuesday night at the Louisville Gardens, when the wrestlers came in to do that show, you didn't see any more wrestlers to that next week. So it was real sparse. There wasn't anybody, and I didn't get any training until I got here. Actually, I got a little bit in '72, but I opted for the music business, which you know about. But anyway, when I got here, I got with Gypsy Joe. And
there you go.
Yeah, now you're talking about getting the snot beat out of you.
Yeah, you talk about an education. Just Joe's one of the greatest of all time. Still the oldest living active professional wrestler to date.
That's right. He is, and still mean as hell, I might add. Excuse me there. But he's a great guy. But what I wanted to say now, and we'll get off of this, but like you said, it's not their fault. A lot of guys get, like, I was talking to a kid last night, he called me, and he says, well, I've been training for 3 months now, they're going to give me a match in about 2 weeks. I said, well, are you sure you're ready? He goes, well, they say I am. I said, well, what do you think? He goes, probably not. I said, then don't rush into nothing. I don't want to see anybody hurt, and that can happen real easy.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just like your... go ahead, I'm sorry about that.
I trained, that was your other question, I forgot. I trained for about 6 months, 3 days a week, and then we helped set up the ring on the shows on the weekend. So, I mean, I was in the ring for probably 6 days a week, but the legit training 3 days a week for about 6 months before I had my first match.
Right.
So the match I had was very basic, very simple, with a guy who'd been wrestling for about 3 years, so he had enough experience to walk me through it, to help me through it.
Yeah, like we were saying, nowadays, any kid can get a ring. He's a promoter. Any kid can get a pair of tennis shoes, actually cut off shorts. He's a wrestler. Back when we were doing it was rough as heck, man. I mean, it just did not happen. But hopefully, that it will come around again. But this is going to lead me to my next question. Nic-Dinsmore is now a trainer. Am I correct in saying that?
You are correct, Mr. Charming Charles.
Well, tell me about your training. Are you in training right now?
Yeah, I'm sitting here watching 2 of my stars of tomorrow, Big Dave McDonald and the judge, Mike Judd, in the ring right now grappling. I'm watching their form and their technique as they're doing headlock takedowns and snapmares, lateral press covers, and Irish whips.
Well, that's pretty impressive right there. They're getting right into the meat and potatoes of it, huh?
Yeah, I teach a class here at OVW, and the class that I teach is a 10-week class. We meet every Monday and Tuesday for just about 2 hours. I want guys that have zero experience to be able to come out of this 10-week, 20-session class with enough experience to be able to at least have a short 5 or 6 minute match. Right. I want guys that do have experience now, if they were to go through the class, to just brush up on some of the basics of the chain wrestling, the fundamentals that I think are lacking today. The foundation that we need to be able to have to go from A to B, as opposed to just jumping over it and inflicting injury to someone.
Absolutely.
I was here training this class when OVW had the WWE developmental system.
Mm-hmm.
I helped work on the fundamentals and the basics and helped train a lot of the guys that came through OVW that made it to WWE. So I've been doing this class for close to 10 years now. And I've had a lot of success, and I've had a lot of the stars that have performed on WWE, I had a hand in training them. OVW is now the exclusive developmental system for TNA wrestling.
Awesome.
TNA is now starting to send their stars here. And I'm beginning to work now with the stars of TNA. When WWE first came to OVW and they saw all the stars that OVW had to offer, they started hiring them one by one.
Right.
Guys noticed that on the independent circuit, and they started moving to Louisville and getting integrated into OVW to hopefully be one of the next guys hired by WWE. Santino Marella is probably one of the greatest stories that they have. He moved here on his own time, paid for the school, signed up, paid tuition, went to the OVW advanced class taught by Rip Rogers, got himself a job, debuted on TV, and is now a huge success story. I'm hoping, and I pretty much know that the same thing is going to happen with the guys that have moved here in regards to TNA wrestling. I don't know if you've seen the TNA gut check that they've had recently on TV, and the young boy from Canada that won himself a contract. I discovered Alex Silva in Barrie, Ontario, Canada, about 2.5 years ago. I said, get your butt to Louisville. Move down here. It took him about 1.5 years. He moved down here. He got integrated in the system. He started wrestling on OVW TV. He was in Rip Rogers' advanced class. He had a gut check for TNA, and he got himself hired.
Wow, that's what it's all about right there.
You know, for guys that just want to try this and want to go somewhere where they know they're not going to get their money taken, and know that they're not going to be taught incorrectly and get themselves hurt. Guys that just want to get their feet wet, see what it's like, OVW is the place to be.
I agree with you.
For guys that want to be worldwide superstars, to be on Raw, to be on SmackDown, to be on WrestleMania, to be on Impact, to wrestle around the world, OVW also gives that type of education. We've got Al Snow here training. We've got Rip Rogers and myself. OVW is called the Harvard of pro wrestling for a reason, because it's the best school around the world.
I totally agree with you. I'd say, you know, which that's gonna lead me to another question here in a minute, but I'm gonna throw a three names out at you if you don't mind, and you tell me if you had any hands on. Is that okay?
Good thing.
All right, Randy Orton.
You know, Randy was one guy, if I've ever seen a natural in the ring, Randy was a natural. But he and I became really good friends when he was here. And, you know, he would pick my brain a lot about talking about the business. He even rode down to Nashville, to the fairgrounds with me.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, he had one of his very first matches during the fairgrounds. But, I mean, I wrestled a lot with Randy in sparring and in training. And we have matches on TV, but as far as like instructing him step by step, I mean, he was already there. You know, he grew up in the business. He just had it, you know. But, you know, I did work with him a lot, and he was here while I was training the Nic-Eugene-Dinsmore pro wrestling class right here at OVW.
Mm-hmm. Okay, I'm going to throw another name, and you tell me if you worked with this guy. And he was one of my favorites, and I really enjoyed him while he was at WWE, Mr. John Morrison.
John Morrison, yeah, he won the, I believe it was the very first WWE Tough Enough.
Mm-hmm.
It was the very first one. He and Matt Capitelli came down here, and they were like, there was a huge wave of guys that WWE sent at one time. And John Morrison and Matt Capitelli were kind of on the second wave. So they like saw some of the guys that, you know, myself, Rob Conway, Flash Flanagan, Doug and Danny Bash, and guys that had 5-6 years experience, and they saw a couple guys with just 1 or 2 years experience that were employed by the WWE. So they had something to set the mark, you know, and some goal to reach.
Right.
And I was in the ring a lot with John Morrison, and all he wanted to do was I want to do a big flip and land on the guy, and I want to stand on my hands and twist and drop my leg on him. And I kept saying, damn it, John, just wrestle. Damn it, John, just wrestle. I said, doing all those flips is never going to get you over on TV, but I bite my tongue. I guess I was wrong.
Well, I think there's some truth to what you were saying. Sorry about that. I got a cough here. I'm going to hit you with one more name, and I'm going to dive into my main question I wanted to ask you. John Cena.
The champ.
Yeah.
I became real good friends with John Cena while he was here, and he's very skilled as a wrestler, no matter what anybody says. He and I would spar and practice for, you know, 20-minute matches, 30-minute matches. I wrestled him several times around the OVW territory that we have here in Louisville, Kentucky. And, yeah, you know, I feel like I worked with him a lot while he was here, so I like the champ. He's a friend of mine.
All right. Now, I'm going to touch back on something. I guess we're going back, Nick. You remember this. I guess it's been 12 years now, at least 11. Louisville Gardens, OVW, supposedly the last wrestling show on a Tuesday night. I think it was scheduled earlier and something happened, so they had to, supposed to be in December and it got moved up to January. You remember the show I'm talking about?
Yeah, there was a huge storm, and a winter snowstorm, and we had booked several WWE wrestlers, and I believe they were in Arkansas the night before somewhere, and they shut down the airport, and they couldn't make it.
Right.
But the last second, we had to scramble and rebook the last dance, as we called it. I believe that was The Last Dance, right? The Last Dance for...
I think that's what I have my program. Pretty sure that's what it was called. I think it was The Last Dance. That's what it was. You still there?
You there, Nick?
Nick? I think we lost Nick. Big Al.
Yeah, hopefully he'll come back.
Hear me?
If not,
Are you there, Nick?
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you.
All right, sorry. Go ahead.
Oh, sorry about that. Yeah, I think we lost you there for a minute.
Oh.
Well, I'm going to get right back to it. Anyway, that night, and I'm just not saying this, but there were two matches that stood out in my mind. Two of the best matches, and I'll say that I've ever got to see in my life. Was Slash Flanagan and Chris Jericho, and you and Chris Benoit tore the house down. Can you give me some thoughts on that match and what that match meant to you?
At the time, I had wrestled a lot of stars in the Louisville Gardens leading up to the match I had with Chris Benoit. I wrestled Chris Candido. I wrestled Brian Christopher. I wrestled Nature Boy Buddy Landell. But the match I had with Chris Benoit solidified me in the Louisville, Kentucky area, solidified me in OVW as a main event top guy star. I went 20 minutes toe-to-toe with, at the time, probably the greatest professional wrestler in the world. And I didn't back down to anything that he threw at me.
You were solid.
After 20 minutes, the people just gave me a different kind of respect. And like I said, that's the match that made me as a bona fide star. Somebody that they saw I could go toe-to-toe with anybody in the world. You know, and it's a match I've only been able to watch once after we had it, but it's a match that probably did the most for me in my career before I made it to WWE.
Right. Well, I'll tell you what, that night, I always have respect for you, but that night, that match, like I said, I can still see that match. It was just spot. Everything was perfect. It had me on the edge of my seat, Nick.
I appreciate it, Charles. Thank you very much.
Oh, yeah, it was just a great match. And like I said, and Flash and Chris, they tore the house down too. But those two matches, that was Undertaker, all those guys that night, you guys were just, it was awesome. That's all I can say. Good on you, brother.
hey, Charles.
Now, I want to ask you something, and then I'm getting ready to turn over here to Big Al. I'd like to talk about when you hit WWE. And if you don't mind talking about it, if you do, that's fine. If you don't, it's fine. But can you tell us a little bit about the birth of Eugene?
I was at a point at OVW when I've been here for a long time. All of the guys that I trained with, all of my friends, Doug and Danny Basham, Rob Conway, they'd all made it to WWE television, and I was here training the wrestlers, and I'd seen a lot of the guys a lot of the WWE developmental guys come in that would whine and complain and would get put on TV just to shut them up. And it always makes me think of the phrase I used to hear, you know, the squeaky wheel gets the oil.
That's right.
So one day I told Doug Basham, I said, Doug, I think I'm just going to quit and try to go to Japan. I really had no intention of quitting because, I mean, I was doing what I loved. I loved being in Louisville. I loved OVW. And Doug told, I think, Dean Malenko. Dean told the head of talent relations. Next thing I know, I'm sitting in a meeting with Vince McMahon. And I had this idea for a character that was actually given to me by Rip Rogers. Rip said, what about a guy that can't tie his shoes, a guy that can't put a square peg in a square hole, but the minute the bell rings, he does what he sees on TV. A real kid's character that's fun-loving and a little bit comedy. The minute the bell rings, he starts imitating people and just having a good time. Rip told me this. I told the WWE creative team that would come down and interview us from time to time, and they said, you know, that type of character is never really going to work with WWE. Okay. Then I would tell the agents when they came down, you know, WWE has kind of gotten away from that type of wrestling. It's really not going to work. 6 or 8 months later, I'm sitting in that meeting with Vince McMahon, and Vince says, you know, I want to get back to character-based wrestling. And out of nowhere, without even thinking about it, I had no plan going into this meeting. out of nowhere, that thought pops in my head, man. I just blurted out, well, what about a wrestler that's a kid's character that, just everything I just told you, square peg, square hole, can't tie his own shoes, gets a little bashful when girls talk to him, but the minute the bell rings, he does what he sees. And Vince goes, great, let's start next week.
That quick.
10-year overnight success, Charles.
Yes, man, and I'll tell you what, it was a joy, but can I ask you this, how did the name Eugene?
That was the name that was given to me by WWE.
Wow. Well, yeah, it was overnight success. What'd you say, a 10-year overnight success?
Yeah.
Yeah, well, that's great. Well, anyway, I've had a good time here, Nick. I'm going to have to wrap it up and turn it over to Big Al. He has some questions for you, but thank you so much for being on the Luv Shack with us, and any time, man, you want to come on, we would certainly love to have you back.
Thanks, brother. I appreciate it. Tell all your friends that the Nic-Dinsmore Pro Wrestling class right here at OVW is training the stars of tomorrow. If anyone has any more information, they can go to ovwrestling.com. That's ovwrestling.com.
Now, Nick, I want to ask you something about the school before I let you go here and turn you over to Al. How many days a week?
The Nic-Dinsmore class trains 2 days a week, and the class semester is 10 weeks long.
Okay.
Monday and Tuesday from 5 to 7 for 10 weeks.
Awesome. And they can get that information set one more time. Where do they need to go?
ovwrestling.com.
Okie dokie. Well, Nick, thank you so much for being my guest friend, and I guess I'll see you in August, and have a great time, and turn you over to me. Excuse me, Big Al.
All right, Nick, first of all, I want to thank you for being on here, and I have a lot of respect for you. You're a great athlete, a great wrestler, and definitely a great trainer. A lot of your trainings that we've seen have really done great, and I just want to say I definitely have a lot of respect for you. And right now, I guess what happened? The NFW Tag Team Champions and the head of the Rich Revolution has just joined me, Nick, and I'm sure he's got some things he's wanting to talk to you about. So, Rich, if you have something you want to ask or say to Nick.
Nick, the only thing I have to say is thank you, sir, for becoming the newest member of the Rich Revolution.
Well, Flash Flanagan and I started together, and it almost sickens me to see him carry around a title when I've got to be the first match and open up for him. And when we came to an agreement on the appearance fee for the additional member of the Rich Revolution, it was a no-brainer. And I can't wait for August the 11th when I can put the heavyweight title around my waist.
I know you'll be a great champion, Nick.
Hey, Nick.
Yes, sir.
I got to tell you something. I don't know if you know this or not, but I'm going to say this. Rich is about 3 scenes short of a movie anymore. I don't know where he's at, but you might want to think this out. And I want to tell you, he's got things to screw up. It's the NFW. He's such a nutcake now. I don't know, but you might want to think this out, okay? I don't know. You're such a nice guy, and I mean, are you sure this is what you want to do?
I will take that into consideration, but to become a bona fide star across Indiana and across Kentucky, the first step is going to be to take the heavyweight title. I mean,
Okay, hey, Nick, I tell you what, before we let you go, do you have any comments on your match with Flash in August?
I think we lost him again.
He probably got tired talking to you two. I mean, I'm bored just listening to you, two of you. You gotta let Nick talk more often.
Who invited you here?
I don't have to be
He just come in, Charles, a while ago unannounced. I didn't know it. I had to put my dogs outside because they'd gone crazy. But I tell you what, I guess Nick, he's training. He's a very busy person. Like I said, he's an excellent trainer. And so he's probably pretty busy. So he's back with his training. So I tell you what, we'll go ahead and move along.
Well, it's probably Master Rich or Johnny Rich or whatever he is this week. He probably has something to do with it.
Just think, if Nick has that training class, I have the next level of the revolution.
Oh, Lord.
It's never gonna die. Hi to all my friends at OVW. Hi, Danny. Hi, Trailer Park Trash.
Yeah, I do want to congratulate you. Yes, you are one half the NFW Tag Team Champions, along with
Alita
Alita.
Ortiz.
Which I will say this: you are the first I guess
We made
male
tons of
female
history.
champion combined.
We're the first male-female tag
That's right.
team
I
to
will give
win
that much credit.
the NFW Tag Team Championship.
I wouldn't give that much credit.
I am now a Grand Slam champion, along with Dangerous Doug Gilbert and Tebow. Alita, the first ever woman to win the NFW Tag Team Championship, and no little secret, Alita is also the youngest champion ever in NFW history.
And who trained her?
Nic-Eugene-Dinsmore.
That's what I thought. Yeah.
Everything she
Lord have mercy.
I was getting ready to say.
This has been planned
He's
out for a
trained.
long time.
I give him credit. He done a good job on her. She's quite an athlete. She put the hurt on a lot of wrestlers. She's for real.
Yeah, I
She's
mean,
for real.
the two teams that we was going to fight originally, they didn't even show up. They got scared. But we
Well,
got your boy.
yeah.
How's your boy anyway?
He's fine. He's fine. Thank you very much for asking.
Do you like the?
That's okay. There's another time, another day. Him and Drake still no limit champions.
Well, look, when Drake Younger is able to come back to New Focus Wrestling, him and Kid do not stand a chance against.
Okay, I tell you what, we're
Actually,
talking
no
about.
one does.
Okay, June 16th
June 16th,
is red, white, black, and blue.
red, white, black, and blue, sir.
Saturday at the Metro Sports Center here in Evansville, Indiana. We know one event is going to happen.
I do. I want to be out there for it.
You better not. You better not.
I've known you for like 11 years. I want to be out there for you.
I bet you do. I bet you do. Well, like I said, one of the events is our wedding. Me and the Luv Shak Love, Penny Lane, will be getting married in the ring on that night.
Oh, yeah.
And it's going to be a great night. And I just hope, some of the matches, we don't know. I mean,
I tell you,
go ahead. You know
I
it.
tell-
Let's listen to you. Go ahead.
champion versus champion now. The Revolution battles it out. Epiphany defends the women's title against Alita. One-on-one. Match price till the show. And then in the main, well, you guys are main event, but in the main event of the actual wrestling match itself, Charles's little buddy, Nic-Iggy, teams up with that jerk Rob Conway, and the man who's going to lose the belt to Nick Dinsmore, Flash Flanagan, to take on myself, Gator McAllister, and Dyron Flynn in a six-man elimination.
I will say that's a great
No
match.
DQ
That's gonna be one heck of a match. That's gonna be a great match.
We're gonna
It's
win.
gonna be a great match. I can't wait to see it.
You know what the best part?
What's that?
No matter what happens, me and Alita's going to still be tag team champs.
Yeah, I figured. I knew you had something going on with that. I knew you had something going with that. But anyway, I'm sure there'll be more matches confirmed later on in the near future. We'll have the card.
I got one more too.
What's
You
that?
want to know it?
Go ahead.
You know your good buddy Bobo, the guy who's going to perform the ceremony?
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. He will have a tri-state title shot that night.
Against Vic.
Vince Victor.
Okay. Yeah. That's gonna be one heck of a fight there
So
too. I mean,
hopefully he's okay come time for your wedding. If not,
Bobo's tough.
I can marry you guys.
Oh my gosh. Charles,
Hey, Charles, how you doing, buddy?
I've got a question for you, sir.
Yes, sir. I'll answer it if I can.
Okay. Now during our wedding,
It's going to be so sweet.
Hello?
yeah, that there's always the groom has his best man, right?
Yes, sir.
And I tell you what, since me and you are a pretty good combo, pretty good duo, you really helped me out, mentored me. I really learned a lot from you. And I couldn't think of a better person to be my best man than the charming Charles. Would you give us that honor,
Albert, are
Charles?
you serious?
What's
Oh,
that?
man, thank you so much, Albert. You know I'll be there.
I
Wow, you done
appreciate it.
touched my heart, Albert. I feel a little tear coming up here. But yeah, sure I'll do it.
That's
Okay.
sickening.
Thank you so much.
My best man, charming Charles.
That's sickening.
Now,
Wait, are you and Charles getting married, or you and Penny?
me and Charles
You
are
know-
Luv Shak. NFW odd couple, I will say that.
I mean-
Like I said, he's a great man. He's helped me a lot. I wouldn't be in the place I am wasn't for him. And I admit, yep, you had something to do with it too. I admit, I'm here. You helped me. I mean, I'll thank you that much. But the charming one has really helped me
Well, I appreciate that,
step
Albert.
up my career. So, and oh yeah, the next day, Sunday, June the 17th, the Luv Shak Picnic and Reception. It's empty. Thank you. You drunk it. We're going to celebrate our wedding with the NFW Nation. Some of the NFW superstars are going to be there. It's going to happen at Garvis Park Sunday at 12 o'clock. Bring a covered NFW Nation. Bring a covered dish. Bring you a chair,
That
bring you some
means
drinks.
Actually have food underneath the cover on the dish.
Yeah, have
Not-
food underneath the cover.
Not just the dish that's covered.
And we'll make some burgers while supplies last. I mean, if there's a bunch of it, we'll feed as many as we can. But what we got going on, we got 3 good events. One of them is, I guess you could say, child of the revolution, Michael Wheeler.
Hey, Michael, you're a great kid.
Is challenging the NFW Nation youngest to a sack race.
Well, that sure ain't you.
And child of the revolution, Wesley.
Wesley, I forgot to holler at you at the show over there at Renner Center, so here's your hollering going out to you.
He's challenging NFW Nation in a pie eating contest.
Well, there won't be a pie left in Evansville, easy.
I know. And listen to this, Charles. Team Revolution, headed by none other than Johnny Richards,
Want to have the tag team champs?
one half tag team champs, will take on Team Nation in a tug of war contest.
Uh-oh.
And that's going to be great. And there's been an agreement. If Rich loses, Team Revolution loses at tug of war, Team Nation wins, you have to wear a Luv Shak t-shirt.
I'm never going to lose. So, yeah.
But if Team Revolution wins, the next Luv Shak, I'll have to
Wait, dude,
wear a Rich
people know about
Revolution shirt.
this. My people know about this.
It ain't gonna happen, Albert.
So,
Yeah,
I'll tell you what,
it's not going to
June
happen.
the 16th is going to be great. June the 17th is going to be great. I can't wait. Bobo against Vic. The 6-man tag. Iron Man Rob Conway. Whew. Flash Flanagan.
Darren Flynn.
Darren Flynn.
Nic-Iggy.
Nic-Iggy.
Lito Ortiz.
Lito Ortiz.
Epiphany.
Epiphany.
Johnny Whiplash. Oh, that jerk Scotty Wolf.
The hardcore cowboy Scotty Wolf who just put a whooping on your guys.
He's a jerk. You see him blow snot on him?
Anybody who wins is a jerk, right? If you lose, we cheat. If you win, we're jerks.
Hey,
I see where we're coming from. That's okay. It's okay. It's okay.
If
I'll
you're-
stay calm. I'll spread the love.
If your
spread the love.
guys would have beat us Saturday
I'll
night,
tell you what.
I would have shook hands.
Okay. Charles, we're about ready to end this. Before you spread the love, do you have any more last words on the 16th? Anything you
Yeah,
want to say?
I
before
do.
we
I
end?
hope Rich has to wear 2 Luv Shak t-shirts. I think here's the stipulation. I think he needs to be in one, and I think Miss Ortiz needs to be in one.
You want
There you go.
What you want me to wear a Luv Shak shirt and a lady to wear one?
Well, I'll tell you what. I'm going to see to it because we got Mr. Rob, the Iron Man Conway, on our team.
Rob
There's a whole lot of strength there, brother.
Lita does.
I will admit you might have an edge in the sack race and the edge in the pinting contest. I seen Wesley. He
I
can
can
put down
so
the food.
run with
But the
that.
tug of war, I tell you what, the NFW Nation's pretty strong. We're strong. We're proud. We are the NFW Nation.
But you're not the Revolution.
Thank goodness. Thank
Not the
goodness.
Revolution.
Okay, Charles, do you have anything else to say before we hit?
That's it, buddy, and thank you so much for letting me be
I think everybody
the
should.
best man, and also thanks to Mr. Nic-Dinsmore tonight
What?
for being our special guest. I'm going to talk to him. You know, I'm really good friends with his uncle. I'm going to see I can get some sense beaten to this
You gotta do
boy's head.
something. Yeah, I want to thank Nick also.
Nick, I'm sorry you had to deal with these two. I'm
I
sorry.
want to thank Nick also for being on here. He's, like I said, he's a great athlete, great wrestler. I have a lot of respect for him. Hopefully, but the Rich Revolution, I don't know about. But I'll tell you what, Charles, it's about that time. Do you want to spread the love, my friend?
All righty, Big Al.
Don't do that.
Just remember, NFW Nation, don't fight amongst yourself. Leave the fighting to us. All you have to do is spread the love. See you, Albert.
You see a faded sign at the side of the road that says 15.